You're always so busy with that job of yours. A strange clarity washes over me. My voice comes out softer than I expect. You never asked me. You made sure I couldn't come. The silence that follows feels like a confession. This isn't the first time, is it? I continue, the realization blooming like a bruise. All those family trips I'd heard about after the fact. The holiday gatherings scheduled when I was unfortunately working. The pattern stretches back further than I can see. Mom steps forward, hand outstretched. Honey, you're overreacting. Let's sit down in. I place the cruise documents on the entry table without raising my voice or slamming a single door. I pick up my overnight bag and walk out into the evening air. Behind me, I hear my mother call my name, but for the first time in 28 years, I don't turn back. 30 minutes later, my apartment feels too quiet after the confrontation at my parents' house. I dump my overnight bag on the couch and sit cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by photo albums and shoe boxes of memorabilia I've dragged from the back of my closet. The carpet scratches against my bare legs as I spread everything in a semicircle around me. The first photo album falls open to Christmas 2018. Harper unwrapping a MacBook, Cody getting his first car used but still worth thousands, me holding up a scarf from Target with a $19.99 price tag still attached. My smile looks genuine in the photo. I remember believing it was all they could afford. I flipped through old vacation photos, noticing a pattern I'd somehow missed for 28 years. Family trip to Yellowstone. Sorry, rain. Someone needs to water the plants. Disney World, your internship is that week, remember? Weekend in Napa. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway, honey. My phone buzzes. A text from Mom. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. As if finding evidence of deliberate exclusion could be misinterpreted, I silence my phone and pull my laptop closer, opening a spreadsheet titled Monthly Budget. Scrolling back through the entries, I highlight every transfer to my parents' account, 3D50. April, Dad's insulin costs went up 1,400. June, hospital COE for Dad's diabetes, to 800. August, Mom's car needs transfer work, 200-800. Last month, family emergency fund, the last one hits hardest. My Lake Tahoe money. Money they knew I'd been saving. Tracking every extra design project, skipping lunches out, picking up weekend freelance work. Money they'd accepted while already holding cruise tickets with everyone's name but mine. My stomach clenches as another memory surfaces. Age 7. Watching Harper practice scales with her vocal coach while I sat at the kitchen table. Can I take piano lessons too? I'd asked Mom. We can't afford 2 kids in music lessons. Rain. Maybe next year never came, but Cody got guitar lessons 6 months later. The memories flood in faster now, age 13. Sobbing at the kitchen table after learning I couldn't go on the 8th grade science trip to the Oregon coast. The 400 is too much right now, Dad had said, patting my shoulder. 3 weeks later, they surprised Cody with a father-son camping trip that cost twice as much. College years, working 3 jobs while my siblings got their rent paid and car insurance covered. You're just so independent, honey, Mom would say. We know you can handle it. My phone rings again. Harper, this time I answer against my better judgment. Rain, this is ridiculous, you're making Mom cry. I found the cruise documents. Harper, it's not what you think. Her voice sounds rehearsed, like she's reading from a script. We meant to invite you, but Mom said you'd understand. You always do. The last 3 words hang between us. You always do. Not anymore, I whisper, ending the call. I walk to my bedroom closet and pull out a small box from the top shelf. Inside sits a shrink-wrap jewelry-making kit. Exactly like the one I begged for on my 9th birthday. The same kit Mom said was just too expensive before buying Harper her 3rd American Girl doll the following week. I bought this kit for myself last year on Etsy. 35. I've kept it sealed as a reminder though of what I never quite articulated until now. My phone pings with a text from Cody. This is BS, Rain. We've always included you. Then another. You're being dramatic. Then fine. How much do you want to let this go? I set the phone face down as my doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Melissa holding a bottle of wine and takeout bags. My best friend since college, the person who's witnessed my dash to solve every family crisis for years. I figured you might need reinforcements, she says when I open the door. You look like hell. Found out my family's been deliberately excluding me from things for basically my entire life, I say. Trying for casual and failing. Nothing major, nothing major. Melissa steps inside, sets everything down, and pulls me into a hug that nearly breaks me. About damn time you noticed. What? She pulls back, eyes serious. Rain, I've watched you drop everything for your family for years. Last Christmas, you spent a month's salary on their gifts and got socks in return. They call you for money, babysitting, emotional support. But when was the last time they showed up for you? The question hangs in the air. Unanswerable. My phone lights up with a voicemail from Dad. Your mother's very upset. You're being ungrateful after all we've done for you. All they've done for me, I repeat, a hollow laugh escaping. Later that week, my coworker James brings me coffee after I explain why I've been distracted. My parents played favorites too, he says quietly. It messes with your head. Makes you think you're the problem. That afternoon, I sit in Dr. Eleanor Warren's office, my therapist of 6 months, explaining the cruise situation. What I'm hearing, she says carefully, is that you've discovered a pattern that's been there your whole life. This isn't normal family behavior, Rain. I always thought I was overreacting. My voice sounds small. You weren't, and now you have choices about how to respond. Back home, surrounded by evidence of years of unequal treatment, I make a decision. I text Melissa. I'm done being convenient. For the first time in my life, it feels like the truth. 4 days later, my phone buzzes for the 14th time today. Uncle Jerry? This time someone I speak to maybe twice a year at family gatherings. The voicemail he leaves sounds rehearsed. Rainy girl, your mother is worried sick about you. Family disagreements happen, but you can't just disappear. Call her back, sweetheart. I add his number to my growing block list and pour another cup of coffee. Mom has recruited the extended family cavalry. Yesterday it was Aunt Patricia. Before that, Cousin Megan. Each one reading from the same invisible script. Forgive and forget. Family comes first. You're overreacting. The doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Dad shifting from foot to foot, a paper bag clutched in his hands. For a moment, my finger hovers over the deadbolt. We haven't had a real conversation in years. Just small talk about weather and his blood sugar levels. Now, suddenly, he wants to talk. I step back from the door. After 20 minutes, his car starts and pulls away. Later, I find a bag outside containing my favorite childhood cookies and a card that reads, "We need to talk. I miss you." The handwriting is Mom's. At work, an email from Harper circulates to several mutual friends. So worried about Rain. She's been acting strange lately, refusing to see family, ignoring calls. If any of you hear from her, please let us know she's okay. We're concerned about her mental state. I forward it to Dr. Warren with the subject line, Exhibit C. Her response comes within an hour. This is called flying monkeys. Classic family system preservation tactic. When Cody appears in our office lobby on Thursday, Tara from reception texts me a warning. I grab my laptop and slip out the back entrance, but he's waiting in the parking lot, leaning against my car. You can't avoid me forever, he says, arms crossed over his chest. His face has the same righteous look he wore when we were kids, and he'd blame me for something he'd done. I'm not avoiding you. I'm refusing to see you. There's a difference. I keep my keys between my fingers, though I know I won't need them as a weapon. Cody's anger has always been loud but harmless. You're tearing this family apart, he says, voice rising. Mom barely sleeps. Dad keeps checking his phone. The kids keep asking where Aunt Rain is. A laugh escapes me before I can stop it. I'm tearing the family apart. I didn't plan a cruise without you. That was different. We thought. You thought what? That I wouldn't find out. That I'd keep giving you money forever while you all enjoyed vacations I paid for but wasn't invited to. His face reens. It wasn't like that. We've been planning this cruise for 8 months. Mom thought. 8 months. The word hits me like a physical blow. I canceled my Lake Tahoe trip exactly 8 months ago. 8 months, I repeat. My voice steadied despite the trembling in my chest. You planned this cruise while telling me to cancel my vacation. Because money was tight and the family needed my savings. Something shifts in his expression. A flicker of shame quickly replaced by defensiveness. You always help out, it's what you do. The parking lot around us blurs slightly as clarity washes over me. I was never really part of this family, was I? I was the backup plan, the safety net, the ATM. That's not fair. Thank you for watching. No, I agree. Stepping around him to unlock my car, it wasn't. That evening I call my cell provider and request a number change. Effective immediately, the representative asks if I'm experiencing harassment. Family, I say simply. Say no more, she replies. The new number will be active within the hour. At the bank the next morning, I close the joint account my parents have had access to since college. The balance shows 17 withdrawals in the past year, none made by me. I transfer the remaining balance to my personal account and request a new card. When the invitation to Harper's anniversary party arrives, I write, I'm unavailable on the RSVP card and mail it back the same day. The invitation to the family 4th of July picnic receives the same response. I set up an email filter that automatically replies to family messages with, thank you for your email. I am currently unavailable. XCOM explained 80. With each boundary, my breathing comes easier. That same night, the travel agency website glows on my laptop screen as I enter my credit card information. 1 round-trip ticket to Barcelona. Departure in a month. I've always wanted to see Gaudi's architecture. The confirmation page appears, and for the first time in months, I smile, a real smile that reaches my eyes. I pull a cardboard box from under my bed. Inside are childhood photos, report cards my parents never displayed, participation ribbons from events they never attended. I slide the box onto the top shelf of my closet. Not thrown away, but no longer where I can see it every day. The next day at the jewelry store downtown, I try on a silver pendant I've admired for years, but always deemed too extravagant. The weight of it against my collarbone feels right. The sales associate wraps it in tissue paper, but I ask to wear it now. This purchase isn't revenge, doctor says during our Thursday session, noting the necklace. This is reclamation. You're reclaiming resources that have always been yours to use. Next week, when my phone rings with an unfamiliar number, I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Rain. Harper's voice sounds panicked. Thank God. Your number was disconnected and I had to call everyone to find you. The babysitter called and I'm still on the cruise. Can you take the kids tomorrow? It's an emergency. I'm unavailable, I say using the same words I've written on every RSVP card. But I'm unavailable, I repeat, and end the call. The next day, Melissa and I are sharing lunch when another unknown number appears. Cody, this time voice tight with stress. My car broke down. The repair shop wants $800. Can you transfer it to my account? I'll pay you back next month. I'm unavailable, I say, and hang up before he can respond. The final call comes 3 days later while I'm booking a food tour in Barcelona. Mom's voice wavers between anger and panic. The mortgage payment is due tomorrow and we're short. Your father's medical bills this month were higher than expected. We just need a little help like you've always done. I watch a video of La Sagrada Familia while she speaks. The cathedral has been under construction for over a century yet stands magnificent even in its incompletion. I'm unavailable, I say. The silence on the other end stretches until I think she might have hung up. Then, in a small voice I've never heard before, she asks, "What are we supposed to do without you?" The question contains the truth they've never acknowledged. They need me far more than I need them. Figure it out, I say, and press the red button on my screen. I stare at the gaudy designed ceiling in the video, its organic shapes reaching skyward like a forest made of stone. I count the days until my flight. I count the days until I walk those halls myself, alone but not lonely, carrying nothing but what I choose to bring. For the first time in my life, the weight of family obligation lifts from my shoulders, and I stand straight and tall. A week after the cruise, my phone buzzes with the 23rd text message since breakfast. I glance at the screen Cody again before silencing it completely. They returned from Alaska, and the desperation in their messages grows by the day. We need to talk about what happened. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof because of this. Can you at least tell us you're alive? I set my phone face down on my desk, noticing how my pulse no longer races when their names flash across my screen. The smallest victories still feel monumental. My coworker James glances over from his monitor. Family still blowing up your phone like clockwork, I reply, turning back to my design project. They just finished a luxury cruise, and they manipulated me out of my vacation money to help fund. Now they're shocked I won't respond to their messages. James whistles low and they seriously expected you to just forget about it. They expected me to forgive it like I always do. Later that evening, Melissa flops onto my couch with 2 glasses of wine. Harper called me today. Said she's spending a fortune on professional childcare since you vanished. I accept the glass, feeling a twinge of something not guilt, but surprise at its absence. How terrible for her to pay for a service the rest of us have to pay for. She also mentioned your mom is planning some kind of family emergency to lure you back. My laugh comes so suddenly it startles us both. Of course she is. Emergency is her love language. The following morning an unfamiliar number lights up my screen. Against better judgment, I answer. Rain. My Aunt Deb's voice trembles. Thank goodness your mother said you might be having a breakdown. She asked me to check if you're okay. The manipulation is so transparent it borders on comical. I'm fine, Aunt Deb. Better than I've been in years, actually. Oh, confusion colors her voice. Then why aren't you returning anyone's calls? Your father tried that old guilt trick he used when you were little. You know, the one about teaching you to ride a bike. I smile, remembering the voicemail where he mentioned the bike lessons he never actually completed, how he pushed me down our steep driveway and walked away when I crashed, calling it learning independence. Meanwhile, Harper learned with his hands steady on her seat the entire time. Tell them I'm unavailable, I say simply. 4 days later, Harper's text arrives. The kids are devastated without Aunt Rain. Max cried himself to sleep asking for you. The same Max who sees me 3 times yearly at most. The same nephew who called me Rain Lady last Christmas because he'd forgotten my name. Cody's approach shifts from casual requests to barely contained fury. Mom and Dad might be walking on eggshells around you, but I'm not. Some sister you turned out to be. My car payment is due Monday. Uncle Pete's annual family barbecue arrives, the gathering I've never missed in 15 years. I send my regrets this year. My cousin Jamie calls the next day. It was the strangest thing. She says, "Your empty chair became this presence." Everyone kept glancing at Aunt Susan, made excuses about where you were until Uncle Pete asked straight out what happened. What did she say? She tried the Rain's just busy with work line, but then your dad mentioned something about a cruise and Aunt Catherine asked why you weren't invited. Jamie Uncas' voice drops to a whisper. The whole place went silent. Catherine was furious. Said she'd never exclude one of her kids like that. Others agreed. Your mom left early with a migraine. The image makes me smile as I glance around my apartment. The walls, once rental beige, now glow with the deep coral I've always loved. But Mom called. Two attention-seeking abstract art I've chosen hangs where family photos once dominated. My promotion letter sits framed on my desk, the one I earned after finally having evenings free to work on the portfolio I'd postponed for years of family emergencies. My banking app pings. Another automatic savings deposit completed without the constant loans to my family. The numbers grow steadily each month. I finally scheduled that trip to Spain. The confirmation sits in my inbox like a promise kept to myself. The doorbell rings on a Tuesday evening. Through the peephole, I see Mom standing there, her umbrella dripping, eyes red-rimmed. For a moment, my finger hovers over the lock, old habits rising like flood water. I open the door but block the entrance. Rain, her voice breaks, thank God. We've been so worried. I wait saying nothing. We're gonna lose the house. The words tumble between sobs. The second mortgage, your father's medical bills. Please help us one last time. Her hand reaches for mine, familiar in its expectation of compliance. But something has shifted inside me. Tectonic plates rearranging my inner landscape. If I were the one standing here, I ask quietly, jobless, broke, desperate, would you take me in? The question hangs between us. Mom's mouth opens, closes, opens again, but no sound emerges. Her silence answers more honestly than words ever could. I nod once, understanding completely. Then I gently close the door. 2 days later, after the terrible encounter with my mother, the hostess at Belinis leads me to the back of the restaurant. My heart thuds against my ribs when I spot them. Mom, Dad, Harper, and Cody, all seated at my favorite corner booth beneath the stained glass window. The same booth where we celebrated my college graduation 6 years ago. The only family celebration that was ever about me. Right on time, Mom says with a brittle smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Melissa squeezes my elbow before sliding into the booth beside me. Her presence a silent declaration that I won't face this alone. The manila folder in my hands feels heavier than it should. Dad clears his throat. We appreciate you agreeing to meet with us, Rain. His voice carries the formal tone he reserves for bank managers and car salesmen. Though you could have come alone, Harper adds, glancing pointedly at Melissa. Cody leans forward, elbows on the table. We need to put this whole misunderstanding behind us. The family isn't the same without you. They take turns speaking, their words flowing with practiced precision. Dad reminds me how they paid for braces when I was 12 and bought me a used car for high school graduation. Mom dabs at invisible tears, her voice trembling as she recounts the sacrifices they've made for this family. Harper and Cody alternate between guilt trips and appeals to family loyalty, their words overlapping in a choreographed dance. I wait until they finish, my fingers tracing the edge of the folder, their speeches hang in the air like stale perfume. May I speak now? My voice comes out steadier than I expected. 4 pairs of eyes blink in surprise. I've never asked permission to speak before. I open the folder and place a spreadsheet on the table. This is a record of every financial contribution I've made to this family over the past decade, totaling $37,8042. I tap the bottom figure. That includes the $2,800 I gave you for Dad's medical bills, the same week you paid for your Alaska cruise. Mom's hand flies to her throat. I'm not finished. For the first time in my life, I interrupt her. The restaurant seems to grow quieter around us. I lay down a timeline next, handwritten on graph paper. Here's a record of family vacations, holiday gatherings, and celebrations going back 15 years. The highlighted dates are events I wasn't invited to, or was told were canceled due to money concerns. Yellow highlighter covers nearly half the page. And this, I continue, placing a photograph on the table, is the jewelry-making kit I begged for when I was 9. The one that was too expensive at 35. I bought it myself last year. I keep it sealed as a reminder. My voice doesn't rise, doesn't crack, yet somehow it fills the space between us. Stronger than their rehearsed speeches and louder than their demands. Other diners have fallen silent. A waiter hovers nearby, unsure whether to approach. Mom stares at the papers, her makeup perfect face draining of color. Dad shifts in his seat, tugging at his collar. Harper studies her hands. Only Cody meets my eyes, his expression hardening. So what? Dad suddenly slams his palm on the table, making silverware jump. We've always done everything for you. You've never appreciated everything we've sacrificed. The outburst draws stares from nearby tables. I feel Melissa tense beside me, but I remain calm. Then it should be easy, I say softly. To name 3 things you've done for me that you didn't do for Harper or Cody. Just 3. Just 3. The silence that follows stretches so long I can hear the kitchen staff calling orders. Dad opens his mouth, closes it. Mom's face crumples. Not in the controlled way she uses to manipulate, but in genuine distress. As realization dawns, a tear smudges her mascara, something I've never seen before. Harper's eyes widen as she glances between our parents, seeing their failure to answer what should be a simple question. Cody slumps back against the booth, the fight draining from him. I don't hate any of you, I say, gathering my documents back into the folder. But I can't keep pretending. If there's ever going to be a real relationship between us, things need to change. I pull out a final sheet of paper and place it in the center of the table. These are my terms: family therapy. At least 6 sessions before I'll consider attending any gatherings. Complete financial independence. No more loans or contributions either way. A public acknowledgement of how I've been treated, and a genuine apology in time. I need space to heal. Mom reaches for my hand, but stops midway when I don't extend mine to meet hers. You can't just dictate terms to your family. Dad protests, but his voice lacks conviction. I'm not dictating. I'm protecting myself. I slide out of the booth, Melissa following. Take time to think about it. My number hasn't changed again. As we walk toward the exit, I feel lighter than I have in years. Behind us, I hear my mother's quiet sobs and my father's awkward attempts at comfort. Harper calls my name once, but doesn't follow. Outside in the evening air, Melissa squeezes my shoulder. You okay? I take a deep breath, surprised to find I'm not shaking. Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I think I actually am. The stars above Portland shine brighter tonight, as if they too are surprised by my newfound strength. And I need to prepare for my Barcelona trip soon. This time I finally chose myself. Months later, I am preparing my first Thanksgiving with my chosen family. I straighten the cornucopia centerpiece on my dining table, adjusting the falsy-colored napkins one last time. The aroma of roasting turkey and apple pie fills my new home, my real home, purchased 3 months ago with the promotion money I'd once earmarked for family emergencies. The doorbell chimes and I open it to find Melissa balancing a casserole dish, her husband Tom carrying wine. Happy Thanksgiving. She wraps me in a one-armed hug that feels like sunshine. Within the hour, my table brim with people who chose to be here. James from work and his partner Daniel, my neighbor Mrs. Winters, who lost her husband last spring, Dr. Warren, who insisted I call her Eleanor outside our therapy sessions, and 3 others from my boundary support group. The conversation flows between laughter and thoughtful pauses. No one speaking over others or dismissing anyone's stories. Before we eat, I announce, lifting my glass. I want to thank you all for showing me what family can be. My gaze drifts to the sealed jewelry kit displayed on my bookshelf. What once represented deprivation now stands as testament to growth. Later, Eleanor helps me load the dishwasher, her practiced movements speaking to years of post-holiday cleanups. 42 sessions, she says, handing me a rinse plate. That's how many we've had. I nod, remembering our first meeting after the cruise revelation. The nightmares have stopped. And the money habit? Haven't checked my parents' bank account in 8 months. The compulsion to monitor their finances had been harder to break than I'd expected. Eleanor smiles. Your mother mentioned you in our session Tuesday. My mother started therapy 4 months after our confrontation at Gianni's restaurant. Harper joined her sessions occasionally, working through her own realization that she was recreating our family patterns with her children. She's trying. Eleanor continues. Your father still refuses to come. And Cody, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Entitlement is a powerful drug. The doorbell interrupts us. James appears in the kitchen doorway holding an envelope. Mail carrier just delivered this. Said it needs a signature. The cream-colored envelope bears my mother's distinctive handwriting. Inside, I find an invitation to their 40th anniversary celebration next month. Unlike previous family events, this one includes a handwritten note. We would love to have you join us, but understand if you prefer not to. Please let us know what works for you. We miss you, Mom. No guilt, no assumptions, no demands. Progress, Eleanor murmurs beside me. 3 years ago, I would have immediately rearranged my schedule. Last year, I would have refused outright. Today, I set the invitation on my counter, deciding to consider it thoughtfully when I'm alone. Tuesday evenings now belong to the youth center where I volunteer, helping young adults navigate family dynamics similar to mine. Last week, a quiet 19-year-old named Ashley brought in a childhood toy her parents had repeatedly promised, but never delivered. Buy it for yourself, I told her. Then decide whether to keep it sealed as a reminder or open it as reclamation. This morning, I finally opened my jewelry kit. The turquoise beads caught the light as I strung them into a necklace, not perfect, but entirely mine. My guests depart with warm hugs and leftovers in containers. They'll actually return. The house quiets. I stand by my living room window, fingering my handmade necklace while watching the sunset paint the sky and colors that promise tomorrow. For the first time in 29 years, I look forward rather than